A lot of people think they actually have a choice as to who they are. Nothing is going to be more unique to you than fully embracing who you are in God's sight as His chosen one, as His pre chosen special treasure. The Bible says you are kings and priests, a spiritual nation set apart as devoted ones. My friend, you could not imagine a greater identity for yourself than to be a child of God. You may think you're unique, you may think you're special, but you're only going to be limited if you insist on choosing for yourself your own personal little identity. Separated from grace, there's going to be limitations to your power. There's going to be limitations to who you can become, what you're going to see your worth, ultimately, what you're going to accomplish. Significance is only being able to stand before God at the end of your days, and He looks you in the eye and He says, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Do you know who that person is? The good and faithful servant will be the one who fully submits and surrenders his entire life to the grace of God. I believe that the faithful person is not the one who does much, but the one who surrenders his life to the essence of God, which is grace. The grace is the power of God unto salvation, the salvation of your soul, the grace of God that restores you back into His image and empowers the very reason for which you exist. The faithful person isn't the one who necessarily does much, though yes, you will do a lot, but it is the person who at your root level you intrinsically understood that a life of submission under the grace of under the influence of his surrounding is going to be far more potent that I should live this life alone, insisting on doing it on my own strength. My friend, just surrender. Why insist on kicking against God when ultimately, if you want the best for yourself, you know instinctually at the level of your DNA that the only way to do it is to surrender your life, is to set it all down, not costing you so much as you might think. My friend, it's only going to cost you who you never were and the purpose for which you never existed. I believe what keeps people from living out this life and what they think is going to cost them so much is your own personal dedication to pleasures, to self-indulgence, to your own selfishness. The suffering of the life of God is actually only the suffering of setting aside that which never had the power to fulfill you, that which never had the authority to speak of your true identity, of your true purpose, of your true pleasure. The things that you seek pleasure in are only causing you more pain. Because the deeper you travel into those pleasures, self-indulgences, right, and self-gratifications, it only further compounds the internal frustration of you knowing that you're living separated from who you are and why you exist. Soft living is a self-indulgent, selfish, pleasure-seeking lifestyle. It's called prodigal living. You're away from God. And because you're away from Him, You're away from his true embrace of love and affection. And in that embrace, there's a realization of your ultimate place with him makes you validated, accepted, forgiven, loved. And in the power of love, there's this realization, oh my gosh, I am a child of the King. I am royalty. I am authorized and blessed of God to speak and to live and to act and to move and to breathe on behalf of the King. What was I thinking? I was out of my mind. I was lost. But now I'm found. I'm back in the care of my Father. I'm back in the place of being an authorized representative of my Father. I feel compassion, even as he did for me, for others. Father, let me shine as a light into the darkness. Use me. The ultimate outcome, my friend, is not getting what your selfish nature desires, but the ultimate outcome is living in the fullness of who you were created to become. And you can't do it. You can only allow it. Allow the work of grace to take place upon your life. Become that kingly individual who's going to also see a sense of your own worth. You're going to actually have a life of standards. I'm seeking purpose over pleasures. I don't eat what I want, drink what I want, watch what I want, listen to what I want. My life, because I so long to see my King and my Father's mission fulfilled, greater than I desire to seek my pleasures. I am excited to sacrifice my pleasures for the life of purpose that denies myself access to the things that I know will hamper or hinder or sabotage the very nature of who I am and seeing the execution of why I am. So, my friend, surrender to the idea that you can decide who you are, who you're going to be, the character you're going to become, because no one and nothing is greater than what God has already blueprinted for you to be, who he has designed for you to be, as one who is loved in his sight. You are royalty in God's sight. You are a king. You are a priest. You are called to a life of separation and devotion and restriction of the internal appetites, which are only hindering the process of you seeing your destiny fulfilled. The greatest pleasure is knowing when you wake up today, he is fully pleased with you. And in that, there's a satisfaction that none of the pleasures of the world, all the pleasures of the world, add them up and all of their sum cannot compare with the pleasure of knowing you're accepted, you're validated, you are home, and officially, you have arrived. That's what I call living from the end. Needing nothing is what God created you for, the place of needing nothing. Even as it was in the garden, so it is with you through Jesus. A normal life is a life living free of need. Why? Because in him, I have now everything I need. I know who I am. I know my value. I know my purpose. And that's to live forth from this priestly position, this kingly position, this position as a warrior, as a son of God. I'm an ambassador. Thank you, my friend. Grace be to you. We are powered by grace. Thank you for listening. I believe this is impacting you. I'm glad for that. I'm glad for that. This is an amazing message, but look into the word. It's 1 Peter 2, verse 9 and 10, I believe, 8, 9, 10. It's mind-blowing. God actually just tells you exactly who you are. Believe that. It's not enough to know that. We must believe that and become this word because it is who you are.